Today, we're talking about one of the most famous writers in history. But what if I told you his own life story is just as epic and just as dramatic as any of his famous novels?
So, you've probably heard of these books, right? War and Peace, Anna Karenina. They're absolute classics. But the story of the man who wrote them? Wow, it's just as powerful. So, let's start at the very beginning. And for Tolstoy, that beginning was filled with a whole lot of sadness. Picture this. Leo Tolstoy was born into a super rich, noble family in Russia. He grew up on this huge country estate called Yasnaya Polana. I mean, the name itself means bright glade. Sounds beautiful, right?
But his life was anything but easy. It's just heartbreaking. He lost his mom when he was only a little boy, and then his dad died just a few years after that. He ended up being raised by his aunt, Tatiana, who taught him all about love and living a simple, quiet life. And you'll see, those ideas stuck with him forever.
Okay, so as he grew up, Tolstoy was, well, he was pretty restless, kind of lost, you know? He was trying to figure out who he was and what he was supposed to do with his life. And that search, it took him to some pretty wild places.
You'd think being a rich nobleman would be great, but Tolstoy just wasn't satisfied. He actually didn't even finish his studies at the university. He moved to the big city, lived a pretty wild life, and even picked up a bad habit of gambling. So, needing a massive change, he did something nobody expected. He joined the army. And this is where things really start to shift for him. As a soldier in the Crimean War, he saw the real horrors of battle. I mean, he saw things that changed him deeply. And all that experience, it gave him incredibly powerful ideas for his writing. In fact, it's what helped him write his most famous novel, War and Peace. This is what made him famous. Like, really, really famous. So after the army, it seemed like Tolstoy finally settled down. He got married to Sophia Burrs. He was 34 and she was only 18. They went on to have 13 children together. And during this time, he wrote his greatest novels and became one of the most famous writers in the entire world. But then, at the absolute peak of his success, when he was 50 years old, something just snapped. Something inside him completely broke. Think about it. He was famous. He was rich. He literally had everything anyone could possibly want. A loving family, a beautiful home. People all over the world knew his name. But none of it made him happy. He was actually incredibly unhappy. He felt like his life was totally empty, like it had no meaning at all. And this led to a really deep personal crisis. This quote really shows how bad it got. He felt like there was no meaning in anything. His despair was so deep, he started questioning everything. Why am I here? What's the point of it all? So he started searching for answers to these huge universal questions. You know, the big ones. What is the right time to begin everything? Who are the most important people? What is the most important thing to do? This whole search actually inspired him to write his famous short story, The Three Questions. So after this crisis, Tolstoy didn't just go back to his old ways. Nope. He decided to change his life. And I mean, completely. It's like he became a totally different person. The rich nobleman who was a soldier and wrote famous books? Gone. Instead, he started trying to live a simple life. He developed a belief in peace, and he started to help the poor. And a huge part of this transformation was his new belief in nonviolence. He decided that war and violence were just always wrong. He believed the only way to make a real change in the world was through love and peace, not force. And this wasn't just some personal idea he kept to himself. His thoughts on peace and nonviolence spread all over the world. They even inspired some major historical figures, including Mahatma Gandhi. That's how powerful his new way of thinking was.
But as you can probably guess, this new life created a whole new set of problems. And this time, the problems were right at home.
He and his wife, Sonia, started fighting a lot. See, Tolstoy wanted to give away all his money and property to the poor, but his wife, she completely disagreed. I mean, she was worried about their children's future. Their life together just became really, really unhappy. Then, one snowy night, he just couldn't take it anymore. He turned to his daughter and simply said this to her as he prepared to leave his home forever.
He was 82 years old, and on his journey, he got sick. He ended up dying of pneumonia all alone at a little train station. A really tragic end to such a great life.
So, what is the most important thing to do in life? Tolstoy spent his whole existence searching for that answer. He left us with these incredible stories and, the example of his own powerful, lifelong journey. It's really something to think about.